All right, so slope-intercept form. Okay. So we talked about this the other day. Slope-intercept form is when we have it in y equals mx plus b. The reason why it's called slope-intercept form is because they give you the slope, m, and the y-intercept, b. Okay? So whenever we have slope-intercept form, it's actually the easiest one to graph because you plot the y-intercept, and then from the y-intercept, you plot your slope, going up, down, left, right, whatever you have to do. Okay? So all they're asking us to do in example 6 here is find the slope using the slope-intercept form. So we want to put these in slope-intercept form. What you notice is that slope-intercept form looks like y equals mx plus b. So it has to be y equals. So for the first one, is it in y equals form? No. So what we have to do is get my y alone. What would be the first step to getting y alone? All right, Alex.
Subtract the x.
Okay, so we're going to subtract 4x to both sides. So now I have 3y equals negative 4x. Ooh, that's not an x. Negative 4x plus 7. Okay. Again, y is not alone yet, so we have to take the steps to get it alone. What do I do to get my y alone here? Divide by 3. Now you have to divide everything by 3. Okay? And we end up with y equals negative 4 over 3x plus 7 over 3. Close. They want the slope. So you don't have to do any real work here. You just have to tell me what the slope is. So looking at this and looking at this, what's my slope? The negative 4/3. It's whatever's attached to the x. When y is alone, it's whatever's attached to the x. So my m equals negative 4 over 3. And that's the answer that they wanted. All right, Tristan? All right. Now, every now and then, all right, the math gods will grace us with an easy question like B. In B, they want you to find the slope. So take your time looking at it and tell me what the slope is. Oh, you already have the answer, Hope?
Is it negative 1?
Yep. Y is already alone, so we don't have to do anything. So all we have to do is identify what the slope is, and that's negative 1/2. That is all the work you'd have to do for that one. Again, when you do my homework, you have to write the problem down. I do not want to just see answers. Any questions? Pretty easy.
Yeah.
I really like slope-intercept form. I'll use it for any time I have to graph. It's my go-to. All right, what I'd like you guys to do. Ooh. Yeah, why don't you guys give C a try? Let's give it a try. See how that goes. Remember what I do when you have a fraction attached to a number. All right, Mackenzie, you ready to help me out? That's what I like to hear. So what would be my first step?
You're gonna subtract the x from
Okay, so you subtracted 2/3 x, right? Okay. And when you rewrote that, you had what?
I have 1/2 y equals 2/3, negative 2/3 x plus 1.
Okay. So I kind of can see what you did here. You divide everything by 1/2. Okay, which is fine. You still get the right answer. You just have to plug in your calculator, or if you can do it in your head, it's fine. What would I do? What do you know I do when I have a fraction like that? Is an r. Yeah, I multiply by the reciprocal. Because to me, that's easy. What's the reciprocal of 1/2? 2/1. So, again, divided by 1/2 is not wrong. You can easily do that. But to me, this is easier. Okay, now that we have that, can you tell me the slope?
So is m equals negative 4.
Excellent. M equals -4/3. Guys, another thing that I noticed about the quizzes, and I'll go tell you more when we go over it, you guys really do need to circle your answers. Can't tell you how hard it is to find your answers in the mix of all the chaos. Some people are really organized, some people aren't. I think you know which ones of you are not organized. Okay? It's really not easy finding your answers and following your work. So we're going to have to work on that part. Next one. Who wants to try talking me through this guy? Because this guy looks fun. All right, Alex.
Well, you would subtract the ax.
It's a very good start. Subtract ax to both sides. Oh, let me just rewrite the whole problem first. So we subtract ax to both sides. Just because they have a bunch of different letters in it does not mean it's any scarier or difficult than beforehand. It actually is a lot simpler, if you ask me. Now what?
Just divide the b.
Yeah, divide everything by b. Very good, Alex. And tell me my slope.
It's negative ax. I mean abs.
I mean, I know what you're trying to say, but the slope is only -a/b. Do not attach the x when you're naming the slope. Do not attach the x when you're naming the slope.
I just sneezed.
I know. Any questions on that? Guys, with just all the letters, it's not that hard. It's still just moving stuff around. Just follow the order of operations. Anybody need this still? Okay. Moving on. Equations of a line. So we learned 3 equations of a line so far. Point slope form, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Standard form, bless you, ax plus by equals c. And then slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b. All right, those are the 3 forms that we learned and we'll be using throughout the year. The one that we use the most is slope intercept form. All right, but we do run into these at time and time again. Standard form we run into a lot when we have that one graph with only the 2 axes, and then we have to, it's usually with word problems. That's usually where we're going to run into standard form all the time. All right, so we have special lines. We have a horizontal line, all right? When you have a horizontal line, our slope is 0. Slope is 0, and y is a constant. So for a horizontal line, it will always be y equals b, which is y equals a number. Y equals 5, y equals -6, y equals 10. That is what a horizontal line will be. And at that point on the y-axis is where we'll graph it. So if this was y equals -2, I'd go down to -2 and draw a horizontal line. Okay. The next one we have is a vertical line. The slope for a vertical line is undefined. Okay, that's when we have our 0 in our denominator. This is x equals a number. X equals 5, x equals -6. Again, if it was x equals 4, I move over 1, 2, 3, 4 spots, and I draw a vertical line. right? Very easy as long as you know the difference between the two. People mix them up all the time. All right. Perpendicular and parallel lines. Now, these are special lines. All right, a perpendicular line, okay, the way that we find it out is something with the slope. So we have one slope, and in order to be perpendicular, the other slope has to be the opposite reciprocal. What do I mean by opposite? What does opposite mean to you guys? Nah, it's not the right word. You might mean the right thing, but it's not the right word. What does opposite mean? If I told you 5, and I said, what's the opposite of 5? Good. It's when we go positive, negative, negative, positive. And reciprocal is when we flip the fraction. Okay? So it's the opposite reciprocal. We'll be looking at that more. And parallel is when you have the same slope, but different y-intercepts. Same slope, but different y-intercepts. That's the only way you'll have parallel lines. Okay? Has to be exactly the same. Yes. Write an equation of a perpendicular line. All right, so write an equation of a line through each point and perpendicular to y equals 3 over 4x plus 2. Graph all 3 lines. The graph's on the back, guys. We'll be graphing that. But we're going to make all 3 of the equations first. So we already have our first one. Y equals 3 over 4x plus 2. Now, if I want something to be perpendicular, what do I need to do? Good. Well, first off, what I do is identify my slope. My slope for my original equation is 3 over 4, right? Well, if I'm going to make it perpendicular, what does my slope need to be? What is my slope going to be?
4/3.
Close.
Negative 4/3.
Negative 4/3. Opposite. One's positive, one's negative. Reciprocal. So now this slope I need to use when writing this equation over here. Well, I have a slope and I have a point. What equation do I use? What equation do I use? Does anybody know the name of it or how to say it? Slope and a point. What? Point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. My new point, y minus 4, equals my new slope, negative 4 over 3, x minus 0. Now, because I'm going to graph this, I want to see it in slope-intercept form, because that's the easiest thing to graph. So, in order to get this in slope-intercept form, what do I want to get alone? The y. All right, let's get started. Y minus 4 equals negative 4 over 3x. Now I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Y equals negative 4 over 3x plus 4. Any questions on that? Any questions at all? All right, you guys do the next one on your own, B. We're using the same slope.
Are you recording?
Mm-hmm. Touch it. different, right? All right. What do I do? Crystal.
Times -4 over 3 with x at -6.
Excellent. And they give me a positive 8, right? Okay, and my last step.
Yeah, 1.
Very good.
Oh.
-4/3 x plus 9 is what you should have had. If you had that, awesome. Yeah? All right. Now we have to graph all three of them on the back. Oh, good. So I actually was right.
Kind of a game now.
Huh?
Good game.
I don't know. All right, so we're going to graph this. I'll help you graph the first one. We'll do y equals 3 over 4x plus 2. So I start at my center. What do I do from the center? Who remembers how to graph this? Yes, Hope.
Actually, wait. Oh, we start at 2.
So you go up 2, 1, 2, and I plot a point. That is my y-intercept. Okay? So I'm at 2. Now what?
Go up 3 and over 4.
1, 2, 3, and to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I wanted to extend this to make more points, I would just continue up 3 more again, over 4. I can even go the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you can tell, my dots still make a straight line. That is my first graph. Now, you guys graph the other two.
Yeah, this is time. So
1 second, let me just finish writing this down. Graph the other two.
the -4, there's one negative and one negative.
You only make one negative motion. So for -4/3, you either go down, which is -4, or you go to the left, 3. Only one of them is negative, the other one's positive. Okay? When you have a negative slope, guys, you only do one negative motion, which means you go down or to the left. You do not do both, because 2 negatives make a
Positive.
excellent. So do your best. They should not be parallel. They should be perpendicular. They should be crossing each other. If you're getting parallel, you're probably doing a mistake with the slope. All right, attention. I'm going to do the first one, guys, to make sure you're on the right track. And then you can do the second one if you've got it, the first one wrong. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So, starting at 0, what is my y-intercept? We're doing the blue one. What's my y-intercept?
Oh,
4. So starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to make a dot. So at this point, I do my slope of -4/3. Now, when I have a -4/3 slope or any negative slope, my negative motion usually is always going down. So what I'll do is I'll go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my negative motion. Now I need to do a positive motion. 1, 2, 3. Again, if I wanted to make more dots, I'm going to go down 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Remember, a negative slope is only one negative motion. Because look, if I start here and I decide to go up, which is positive, 1, 2, 3, 4, my negative motion is going to be going to the left. 1, 2, 3. And you see how it still continues this straight line. Also, if you have a negative slope, it should be negative. You guys all know what negative and positive slope looks like. Positive from left to right, it goes up. Negative from left to right, it goes down. All right, try the red one if you got that one wrong. Or just do it in general. We even have 9 o'clock. Cold. Yesterday it was freezing in here.
It's because nobody's in here.
I was. So it wasn't
All
nobody.
right.
That hurt my feelings. All right. Starting at +9.
That was recorded.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. My slope is -4/3. Go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Again, I usually like to make a couple of dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. It's always good practice to make a couple because you get used to actually counting the spots. I can't tell you how many kids get this wrong, and it's a simple concept. So practice it. Do it a couple of times. Draw my line. What do you notice about my red and my blue line?
Parallel.
Parallel. Same slope, different y-intercept. And as you look at this, you can kind of say, yeah, they're perpendicular. They're making right angles. Now, because I'm such a good line drawer, you can definitely tell that they're right angles there. All right, Julian.
I don't see. No,
There's
I'm
2
being
of them.
serious.
Any questions?
There's 2 of them. 3 of them. 4 of them.
There's actually 8 of them,
Ever
but
have to like make notes on
Oh,
this,
yeah, there
like
is
on a test?
What are you guys
Like,
showing?
notes about
guys, I'll talk about that in a second. I'm trying to answer actually a question.
Are you have to like take notes on it or like say stuff about the graph?
Sometimes. You mean like a word problem?
Yeah.
Like sometimes they'll ask you to. Usually it's with the ones that when we have a graph like this, that's where they're really going to ask you to describe certain things. Like what does the y-intercept mean? What does the x-intercept mean? I mean, they could ask you what the slope means here, right? But again, it's only going to make word problems. Guys, quiet. But good question. All right, any other questions, guys? All right. Let's get your homework then.